The purpose of these lessons is to show you the logic behind the most basic Chinese characters, beginning with the simplest pictograms, and later combining these elements to create more complex characters. Today's lesson contains 8 characters based on the complete form of "yi", meaning clothing, first introduced in Lesson 74. Later installments will introduce characters composed of the abbreviated clothing radical on the left. Our first character is made up of the person radical 人 inside the clothing 衣 element to express the idea of depending on, complying with, or going along with. The person radical was later moved over to the left side. This character is also pronounced first tone "e". Take a close look at the English verb depend. It's composed of "de", meaning down or from in Latin, and "pend", meaning to hang, as in a pendant. The Latin and English concepts of hanging down are similar to Chinese "yi" because clothing hangs on a person's body. These next sentences express the idea of going along with or complying with. 你不能因为儿女小，就什么都依着他们。You can't give in to your children's every whim just because they're young. 当时要是依了他的想法，就不可能有这个工厂。If we had listened to him, there'd be no factory here at all. 依顺 and 依从 both mean to go obediently along with someone's wishes or plans. 他说的有道理，也就依顺了他。What she said made sense, so I went along with it. 我没有办法迫使他们依从我的想法。I can't force them to comply with my wishes. 依 alone, or with 照 依照 express the meaning of according to, or in accordance with. 这件事依约办理就好了。This matter should be handled according to the agreement. 依约 is a contraction of 依照约定 or 依照合约。人都想要别人依照他的意思来生活。Everyone wants to impose their way of life on others. 依当时的思想来说，成家而不生子会被责怪的。According to the thinking at the time, people were critical of married men with no children. Remember that 成家 refers only to men getting married on reaching adulthood. 依我看 is a good choice to translate in my view, or as I see it, literally, according to my view. 依我看，这事一点也怪不得你。In my opinion, you're not to blame for this. 依我看，他们这样搞是在开倒车。As I see it, they're taking a step backwards doing that. 依我看，要不了多久，他们之间就分手了。Their relationship won't last, in my view. To depend on is expressed by 依 with 赖 from lesson 106. 他对太太的依赖性太重了。His dependence on his wife is excessive. Notice the use of 性 to create a noun meaning a property or quality. This usage and many others were created by the Japanese and borrowed into Chinese in the early years of the Republic of China around 1911. 你过分依赖儿子的看法是太奇怪了。It's strange that you're so dependent on what your son thinks. 如此重要的事情，最好不要依赖别人。It's best not to rely on others in such important matters. To translate as usual, as before, or still, the phrase 依然 works very well. 然, you'll recall from lesson 61, means like this or like that, the way things are or the way they were. 爸依然是那个怪癖的个性。Dad is still his eccentric old self. 我国的棉花出口贸易依然很多。Our country still has a lot of cotton export trade. 女儿没听到我说的话，依然看着她的书。Not hearing my comment, my daughter continued reading as before. In lesson 111, we learned that 怪 means to blame or accuse someone. Now we have a softer version in the character 依, translating more along the lines of to not forgive someone's mistake. Literally, no longer rely on them. 这回再办不好，一定不依你。If you don't do it right this time, I won't forgive you. 要是这些古玩弄丢了，我可不依你。If these antiques are lost, I won't let you hear the end of it. When two people or animals depend on each other for their existence, or are otherwise bound by a common destiny, the phrase to use is 相依为命。卖小笼包的女子跟小猫是相依为命的。The woman who sells steamed dumplings lives alone with her cat. 爸爸去世了，抛下妈妈跟我相依为命。Dad passed away, leaving Mom and me to take care of each other. 我们相依为命这么多年，你怎么可以这样子对待我？ We've been through thick and thin all these years. How can you treat me like this? To express the idea of docile and obedient, agreeing with someone about everything, the phrase to use is 百依百顺。他对哥哥几乎是百依百顺的。She agrees to almost everything her brother does. 他真是好命，有两个百依百顺的儿子。He is so lucky to have two sons who cater to his every wish. 无论爸爸有什么意见，妈无不百依百顺。No matter what Dad's views are, Mom always goes along with them. Notice the double negative, 无不, meaning all without exception. 奇怪，大家认为日本女人都是百依百顺的。It's so odd that everyone thinks all Japanese women are submissive. That same double negative would work well here too. 日本女人无不百依百顺。In lesson 44, we learned that 社 was a thatched hut, a temporary dwelling soon to be abandoned. The addition of the hand radical made it a verb, 舍, meaning to abandon, throw away, part with, or give up. Now we have a four-character 成语 or idiom, combining 舍 with today's new character 依 in its original sense of depending on. The phrase is 依依不捨 when two or more people are reluctant to part company, cannot bear to leave. 回去的时候到了，大家都有些依依不舍。It was time to head back, but everyone hated to leave. 在依依不舍的心情下，我们和新的朋友道别。With heavy heart, we said goodbye to our new friends. 母亲看着我上飞机后，才依依不舍地移开目光。My mother looked away reluctantly as I boarded the plane. 她持着依依不舍的心情，一个人飞往法国念书。She felt torn between staying and departing all alone to study in France. Before introducing our next character based on the clothing radical, we should review 枝, a character first encountered in Lesson 51, meaning a tree or plant with luxuriant growth being pruned with a knife. And when a tree is pruned, the trimming is done with an ideal shape or definite result in mind. So, an extended sense of 枝 is a well-defined system, as in 公制, the metric system, and 英制, the British imperial system. By positioning 枝 above the clothing radical 依, we obtain today's second character, also pronounced fourth tone 枝, and defined as to produce, to manufacture, originally clothing, but now anything. Phrases with 枝 include 制成 and 制成品 for finished products or manufactured goods. 中国制, made in China. Notice the two characters 国 and 制 are simplified as they would appear on Chinese products from the People's Republic of China. 制 removes the clothing radical altogether. 她在制衣厂埋头工作了一天。She spent the day working in the garment factory. 这件大衣是用毛笔手工制成的。This coat is handmade from fur. Another phrase meaning to make or manufacture is 制作. And the producer of a movie or film is a 制作人。圣塔里有些大理石制作的圣人石像。There are some marble statues of saints in the sanctuary. 拍这种电影的制作人一定野心不小。A producer who shoots this kind of film must be very ambitious. 使用个人电脑就可以制作动画卡通。You can produce animated cartoons using your personal computer. 我的工作人员能够精心制作一份理想的计划。My staff can meticulously design an ideal project. 他介绍了一位著名的电影制作人来跟我们合作。He introduced a well-known movie producer to work with us. The expression for a manufactured product is 制品。巴西是牛肉制品的出口大国。Brazil is a major exporter of beef products. 越南当地的真丝制品很有名。Vietnam is famous for its local silk products. 我们对你的竹制品有信心，一定很抢手。We're confident that your bamboo products will be in great demand. Before our next new character, a review of B from Lesson 39 will be helpful. The character B looks like a heart with a slash through it, but that's not at all what it represents. It's actually a forked stake, fixed in the ground to mark the boundary between two plots of land. The separation radical ba serves as both semantic and phonetic elements because that forked steak separates the two properties and must be respected, giving be the meaning of the verb to have to or must do something. Today's new character is that same forked steak serving as a boundary marker, but this time paired with the person radical 人. It's pronounced fourth tone, 带. According to some etymologists, 带 represents a wooden doorpost separating the inside from the outside of a house or building. Positioned either vertically or horizontally, this doorpost signified a change from one to another, or in Chinese, 以此一彼. Literally, take this, switch with that. This meaning now extends to the substitution of one thing, person, generation, or dynasty for another. With this connotation of someone taking the place of another, we can use 带 in many expressions where, in English, we might say, do this for me. 请代我向令堂问候. Please give my regards to your mother. 他要我代他向您问好. He asked me to send you his regards. 请代我把这封信寄一下. Please post this letter for me. To replace can be translated as 取代. 另一个员工会取代你. Another employee will replace you. 这种技术人员是无法取代的. Such skilled personnel are irreplaceable. To act on someone's behalf in a position of responsibility, as an agent or representative, is rendered as 代理. 小林会代理你的工作. 小林 will act as your agent. 儿子可以作为父亲的代理人. A son can act as a proxy for the father. 代 is necessary when referring to generations in the expressions 世代, 上一代, and 下一代. 我家世世代代都是生活在这里. My family has lived here for generations. 新的行动电话不会比上一代好用到哪里. The latest mobile phones are not much better than the previous model. Literally, the previous generation. 我们理当对下一代负责，而好好关心现在的世界. We should take good care of the world today as a responsibility to the next generation. 我们今日的成就都是因为上一代辛苦的努力. All our achievements today are due to the hard work of previous generations. The modern concept of a generation gap is directly translated into Mandarin as 代沟. 父亲曾努力打破我和他之间的代沟. My father tried hard to bridge the generation gap between him and me. 两代人生活上有着如此大的差别，怪不得有代沟. Given such a big difference in the lives of the two generations, no wonder there's a generation gap. 代 is very commonly used to designate one particular era or age, eventually to be replaced by another, especially in the expressions 时代 and 年代. 那种衣着是70年代最流行的. That style of clothing was most popular in the 1970s. 他是那个时代最伟大的小说家. she was the greatest novelist of her time. 时间过久，无法得知这画时的年代。It's too long ago to determine the era this fossil belongs in. 从90年代起，她一直从事电影制作。She's been engaged in film production since the 1990s. 我们两国之间的合约开创了一个新的时代。The peace treaty between our two countries ushers in a new era. To say contemporary era, the present age, or in modern times, either 当代 or 现代 can be used. 我国的工业必须现代化。Our country's industries must be modernized. 他父亲是当代一流的诗人。His father is a first-class poet of our time. 贸易常常是现代国家的命脉。Trade is often the lifeblood of modern countries. 他可说是当代最有才华的一位作家。She can be said to be one of the most talented writers of our time. 父母和现代思想不合拍，这也怪不得他们。Parents are out of step with current thinking, and it's not their fault. Ancient times, or antiquity, is naturally 古代。古代史 ancient history. 孔子被认为是古代中国最伟大的圣人。Confucius is considered the greatest sage in ancient China. When discussing ancient Chinese history, it's inevitable that the name Confucius will come up. So I've included the character Kong for his family name. Confucius is the Latinized spelling of 孔夫子, an honorific title commonly used in the Western world. Born in 551 BC, Confucius was China's most famous teacher, philosopher, and political theorist, whose ideas have profoundly influenced the civilizations of China and other East Asian countries. He is known as the first teacher in China who wanted to make education broadly available and who was instrumental in establishing the art of teaching as a vocation. He also established ethical, moral, and social standards that formed the basis of a way of life known as Confucianism. His birthday is still widely celebrated every year in East Asian countries on September 28th, also known as Teacher's Day. In oracle bone script, Kong represented a woman breastfeeding her baby. That was greatly simplified in later versions, resulting in the modern character in today's lesson. Besides the surname Kong, it now refers to an opening or small hole, an obvious reference to the opening in a nipple. Here are a few of the uses of this character. 水从木桶的孔里流出来 Water flowed from the hole in the wooden barrel. 女屋主扒着门上的钥匙孔往屋内看 The landlady leaned against the keyhole on the door and peered inside. Remember that 扒 in Lesson 49 depicted a huge snake whose ability to cling to tree limbs gave 扒着 the extended connotation of clinging or sticking to be close or next to, as in the sentence I just read, 扒着钥匙孔. Related phrases we've seen before are 泥巴 for mud which clings to one's boots, and 锅巴 for that crispy crust of rice that sticks to the bottom of the rice pot. Returning to our new character, 孔, we have another 成语, meaning all-pervasive, or appearing everywhere, such as odors or ideas. This idiom is 无孔不入. 那些烦人的飞虫无孔不入. Those damn flies are everywhere. 信用卡在国人生活中可说是无孔不入. Credit cards are omnipresent in the lives of Chinese people. Another idiom is 一孔之见, referring to one's own narrow or partial understanding of a matter, literally a peephole view. 以上是我个人的一孔之见，想跟大家分享一下。The above is my personal opinion that I wanted to share with you. 我想通过一孔之见，使大家多了解问题的来龙去脉。I hope that through my limited view, you can better understand the origin and development of the problem. Notice the idiom from lesson 110, 来龙去脉, meaning the whole story from beginning to end. This new character, 孔, is also used in the phrase 面孔 as a colloquial way to say a person's face or head. 好看的面孔就是最好的介绍信. A good-looking face is the best letter of introduction. 男主角有着女人都可以信得过的面孔. The male lead has a face that women can trust. Returning to the previous character, 带, we can now introduce a new character combining 带 with the clothing element 衣 to mean a sack or a bag. It's also pronounced fourth tone 带. My unabridged Chinese dictionary explains that since 带 means to substitute one thing for another, it's perfectly logical that a sack or bag was originally a cloth pouch substituting for a person's hand to carry personal articles. A burlap bag or gunny sack would then be translated as 麻袋. 妈买了2麻袋的土豆，一包20公斤. Mom bought 2 sacks of potatoes, each weighing 20 kilograms. Even more common is 口袋 or 衣袋, meaning a pocket. 把你的手从衣袋里拿出来. Take your hands out of your pockets. 他从上衣口袋里拿出了一把左轮手枪. He pulled a revolver from his coat pocket. A colloquial way to say a person's head is 脑袋, literally a brain bag, which sounds very inelegant in English, but not in Chinese. 她跌倒了，撞破了脑袋. She fell and cut her head. 2个脑袋要比1个脑袋好，不是吗? 2 heads are better than 1, right? Now let's review a character from lesson 66, pronounced fourth tone, 裂. It was originally composed of the river element above 歹, with a knife radical on the right. 歹 represents bones stripped of flesh, and when combined with river and knife, it originally indicated a river splitting into smaller streams. Now, although the river component has been lost, 裂 still means to split into several pieces. By pairing 裂 with today's clothing radical, 衣, we have a new character, originally meaning scraps of cloth left over from making a garment. That connotation is no longer useful. Now the character refers to splitting apart, breaking up, or simply dividing. With 裂 serving as the phonetic element, this character is also pronounced fourth tone 裂. The simplest verb for to split or to crack is 裂了。这锅子裂了，不能再使用了。This pot is cracked and can no longer be used. 屋顶上的水塔裂了，水不停地流出来。The water cistern on the roof is cracked, and water keeps leaking out. The noun for a split or a tear is rendered as 裂口。你的背心有一道裂口。There's a tear in your vest. One way to say split open or crack open is 裂开。骑机车撞了卡车，他的头骨裂开了。A motorcycle hit a truck, and the rider's skull was fractured. 他们冷若冰霜的借贷，我的心都裂开来了。Their frosty reception broke my heart. Remember the idiom from lesson 101, 冷若冰霜, meaning cold and aloof. To avoid ambiguity, 裂 is often found in combination with 分, meaning to separate. 工党因为派系不合而分裂了。The Labour Party was split by factional disagreements. 此问题把公众分裂成两派，一派支持，一派反对。The issue split the public into two camps, one supporting and the other opposing. To express the idea of bursting, rupturing, or breaking up, 破裂 is a possible choice. 小的时候，我的家就破裂了。When I was young, my family split up. An idiom to say tear apart or completely disintegrate is 四分五裂。当时的内乱把国家弄得四分五裂。Civil unrest at that time tore the country apart. 因为你好赌成性，我们这个家搞得四分五裂。Because of your gambling habit, our family was torn apart. 我怎能够看着我的国家因这些仇恨而四分五裂？ How could I watch my country being ripped apart by such hatred? 他亲眼看过人被炸得四分五裂，心里怎会正常？ After seeing people blown to pieces before his eyes, how can he be mentally normal? Before giving further examples of 裂, we should review the character 朋 from lesson 34. We learned that 朋 represents cowrie shells strung together in bunches of 10 or 20 for use as money. Later, this grouping of valuable shells was applied to groups of familiar people outside the family. With that little review, we can now learn yet another idiom containing 裂, but with a new character to complete it. As you can see from the slide, this character depicts a mountain, 山, with the phonetic 朋 underneath. Pronounced first tone, 崩. However, the magnificent tail feathers of one particular bird, the phoenix, appear almost identical to the drawing of those cowrie shells strung together in朋, resulting in the two forms becoming confused. Why mention this confusion? Because our new character, 崩, is not based on those two strings of cowrie shells, but on the male phoenix, that mythical bird and sign of good fortune to the Chinese. According to legend, as king of the avian world, wherever the phoenix flies while giving its call, all birds instinctively flock behind. Similarly, according to some etymologists, our new character, 崩, compares the deafening sound of a landslide to the call of the phoenix, and likens the rocks, trees, and grass cascading down the mountainside to those birds flocking behind. Hence the Peng phonetic. So, this new idiom is 山崩地裂, literally, mountains disintegrate and the earth splits. There's also a second version, 天崩地裂, literally, the heavens fall and the earth cracks. Both idioms are descriptive of deafening sounds and major natural catastrophes. It also works as an exaggeration of sorts, as in these two examples. 哪怕是天崩地裂，我也要完成这个使命。Come hell or high water, I will complete this mission. 用不着大惊小怪，这不是什么山崩地裂的大事。No need to be surprised. It's not some earth-shattering big deal. If referring to avalanches, 雪崩, or landslides, 山崩, there's obviously no exaggeration implied. 雪崩把5个滑雪者埋起来。The avalanche buried 5 skiers. 因为山崩，围在山下的零星木屋都被埋没了。The landslide completely buried the cabins scattered around the mountain. To burst and break apart, the phrase to use is 崩解。巨大冰山在几分钟内全崩解了。The huge iceberg broke off in a matter of minutes. One final note about the use of 崩, and that is its specific use in the phrase 驾崩, meaning the emperor or the monarch has died. Chinese at one time had precise terms for the death of individuals depending on their status within the political hierarchy. From the emperor, who passes on, 驾崩, down to the commoner, who simply dies, 死了。英国女王驾崩是去年的大新闻。The British Queen's death was big news last year. Our final character, containing the complete clothing radical, positions 衣 above what is thought to be a dress or other garment. It's pronounced fourth tone, 衣, and means the hem of a garment. That connotation has other modern equivalents, so this new character has extended to include the outer edge of something, much like English fringe, as in the fringe of a forest, or a radical fringe group. Mandarin speakers, however, regularly use this character to refer to descendants or offspring, especially of individuals of Chinese or other ethnic background who've emigrated from their home countries. 华裔 refers to Chinese immigrants to other nations. 最反对这个新法规者是加拿大华裔。The most opposed to these new regulations are Chinese Canadians. 他生在巴西，可是他父母都是日裔。He was born in Brazil, but both his parents are Japanese immigrants. 现今的主事者是餐厅创办人的直系后裔。The person in charge now is a direct descendant of the restaurant's founder. Here is our color chart with today's 8 characters. 一孔带崩带至裂 and 意 Here's a summary of today's lesson. 1. This lesson is the first installment introducing combinations with the full form clothing radical "e", either above, below, or to the right of a phonetic element. The first character was "e" with the person radical on the left, meaning to depend on or comply with. Phrases included 依从、依顺、依照、依赖、依然, and the idioms 相依为命、百依百顺, and依依不捨. 2. Our second character was 志 with the character 志 meaning a system, above the full clothing element, the combination meaning to manufacture or produce. Phrases included 制成、制作, and 制品. 3. Today's third character was 代, the boundary marker with the person radical on the left, representing a wooden post separating the inside of a house or building from the outside, giving us the new meaning of substitution or replacement of one thing with another. Phrases included 取代 and 代理. Replacement of one thing with another naturally also involves generational change, as in 世代、上一代、下一代、代沟、时代、年代、当代、现代, and 古代. Once 代 had been introduced, it was then positioned above the clothing radical to create today's fourth character, the noun 袋子, for a sack or bag, literally a pouch that substitutes for the hand to carry things. 4. Today's fifth character places the character 裂 above the clothing radical, thus inventing another character pronounced 裂, used to mean tearing or splitting. New phrases included 裂口、裂开、分裂、破裂, plus the idioms 四分五裂 and 天崩地裂. 5. The last character in this lesson to contain the full clothing radical was 依, referring to descendants of an ethnic group living in a foreign country. Phrases included 华裔 and 日裔. 6. Our final two characters, unrelated to the clothing radical, were 崩 and 孔. 崩 appeared in 雪崩、山崩、驾崩, and the idiom 天崩地裂. Kong was introduced because it's the family name of Confucius, allowing me to finally be able to write his name. Other than that, Kong also means a small opening or hole, as in 钥匙孔, a keyhole, or a verb 打孔, meaning to punch holes in some material. Now you will find a short quiz on double, triple character, and longer expressions. Answer using only the characters learned so far. Thank you for watching and listening.